For those of you who don't know, I've been working in the general field of gaming media for the better part of the last decade. And in this time, and especially during the last year, I've picked up a few ideas of what the media is actually like. If you're a casual observer, it may seem that the gaming media is something that reports on video games, publishes reviews, news, and stuff like that. It seems innocuous, it seems very simplistic and straightforward. And maybe at one time it was, like a long time ago. The gaming media as a whole has gone through several phases. It started off as nothing more than advertisement for video games with stuff like Nintendo Power. It evolved into something that actually gave you reviews of games, it actually gave critique, it actually tried to give the consumer an accurate view of the product. Then it became all about shilling again, then it tried to go back to doing reviews, and now it's at a different point. Though to be fair, when it comes to shilling, like back in the day, at least it was fun. Like I remember there used to be a show called Cybernet that lasted for about a decade, even more than a decade. It wasn't a very good show when it came to actually giving you accurate information about games, but it looked good, it was fast, it presented you game after game after game after game. It did its job. The job of presenting games and trying to get you to know them. Not very good on actually reporting about games, how some of them were not very good and stuff like that, but still, it's a show I liked a lot. Probably because I was 12 when I first saw it. But now the gaming media, like the traditional gaming media, is in a very different position. For you see, in the past couple of years something happened, a shift happened, a great ginormous shift. Web 2.0 happened. The ability of everyone on the internet to make content, to make videos about video games, to make anything they wanted about video games. And with that came the rise of YouTube and people doing gaming content on YouTube. It's a big thing. Like PewDiePie, the most subscribed channel on YouTube, does gaming content. Most of the people in the top subscriber list do gaming content. And that lets people see games, especially if it's about Let's Plays. Now, I personally don't like Let's Plays, but I'll get to that in another show. Let's Plays let people see games unfiltered, games that aren't limited by what the review guide told you to avoid, or just general gameplay. People can see gameplay even without the annoying comments on YouTube, and there's reviews on YouTube, good reviews even, ones that try to show you the game in action, and that sort of shifted the focus of the audience from the traditional media to community-made content, community-made reviews, community-made stuff. And at that moment, the traditional gaming media died, like it flat out died. It became a hodgepodge of freelancers that don't know what they're doing because they're working for the cheapest price possible, and editors that will do anything for clicks. And wouldn't you know it, they took inspiration for getting those clicks from tabloid news rags. Clickbait. What, you think clickbait was invented by the internet? No, it used to be yellow journalism, it used to be shitty journalism, it used to be titles like, "Has zombie Hitler been found?" You know, stuff like that. And that's one of the dirty tricks they pull on you. Everything is a question. Like, everything is a question. A specific kind of question. Is X Y? Is the new game by BioWare bad? Is the new Halo game the greatest ever made? Is that developer actually Satan? Now, I've done this too. You've probably seen that some of the videos that are in this type of show, the gaming culture one, do have that kind of format. Like, is G2A worse than piracy? It is. Like, we've concluded it is. Is a review just an opinion? Which again, I concluded that it's not. Is the gaming tech industry dead? Kinda. That sort of title with a question is made in order to entice people to click on it, to make people wonder about it, to get them to think, is that thing really that other thing? Let's see. But it also has another effect. It deflects. What a lot of people actually do in the gaming media and in media in general is put something absolutely heinous in the title. Is developer X actually a raging misogynist? We're not accusing, we're asking the question. Well, no, not even us. We're not asking the question. People are asking the question. The public wants to know. Because you're putting it as a question, it deflects the responsibility. It can't be considered an accusation because it's a question, but that's how people see it anyway because it's in the title. Yeah, that question mark doesn't mean that much because the bits that come before it do sound like an accusation. Now you'll probably say that I did the same with why is Diablo 3 still crap? But I didn't, because I didn't ask is Diablo 3 crap? No, I said why, and I gave the reasons. Mostly really lazy and crappy progression and customization mechanics. I already started with the accusation that it is still crap. There was no question about it. Now you may say that that is actually clickbait, and in a way it is because it makes you click on a thing. I could have said, why is Diablo 3 not that good? That wouldn't have the same impact as crap, because the more foul, the more obscene the title gets, the more people will click on it. And sure, you can call that clickbait. I'm okay with it. Though bear in mind, in my day job I have to write actual clickbait, like I have to turn tech articles like stuff about technology into things that sound interesting, that have an interesting title, even though there's stuff like the Adblock Plus codebase in Microsoft Edge is now the same as it is in Chrome. To turn that into clickbait, I would have to go with something like Microsoft Edge finally has ad blocking and something like that, which it sort of already had, I believe. Not really sure, don't use Edge, so don't really care. But you get the idea. Sensationalizing everything is important in the gaming medium, because without it, they're dead. Like, without trying their absolute best to draw people in with clickbait titles, they are completely dead. All the audience has more or less left already because YouTube. The rest of them are starting to leave because clickbait. So what's left is the random people that just show up because of the titles, and they're basing their entire businesses on that, on just that, on social media driving people here just for that title. And the more inflammatory the title gets, the better. And it's not just the title that needs to be inflammatory for something to have success, it's the article itself. Here's something you may not actually realize. When a publication is wrong, when something in the gaming media is wrong, that's a good thing, because that wrong thing will get them hits. It will get them people constantly coming back and commenting and saying, and this is wrong, and sharing it and showing to other people that this is wrong, this is not correct. They love that. They adore that. People will constantly come back just because of that. And unless something happens, unless a company mentioned in that article gets involved, like what happened with the natural selection 2 review of GameSpot, they won't change it, because as long as they don't admit a mistake, there is no mistake. The only mistake for them is admitting the mistake. That's when they lose. If they refuse to admit it, they still win. So they'll continue to post stuff that may not actually be all that true. Like, again, in my day job, a colleague posted that Daikatana is now free and compatible with modern operating systems. None of that was true, and because Daikatana isn't popular, not a lot of people actually understood that none of that was true. It was supposed to be a news about Daikatana getting an update made by fans that was supposed to allow it to work on FreeBSD or something. Completely bogus, and I've said that news was completely bogus, but again, it's Daikatana, who cares, no one will notice, and they didn't. But people will notice if you do that sort of thing about more popular games, or if people perceive that you've made a mistake about one. Take for example an article that Yahoo wrote recently about Pokemon Go, which is the second coming of Jesus in terms of profits for the media. They wrote an article about the tracking feature being fixed, in the sense that they removed it completely. There were probably more articles about Yahoo making that piece than about the actual tracking feature. There were articles that built upon people disliking the way Yahoo phrased it, driving that discontent into web traffic, feeding upon another article. It's one of those special moments where the gaming media can actually make profit by writing about itself. This was immensely popular a few years ago when they started with that gamers are dead thing. Like, when the gaming media can write about itself, it is as happy as it can get, because people will come for the drama. People love the drama. That's why I put exposed in the title. You know you love the drama. There's a bajillion YouTubers with exposed as their channel name or as their day daily videos. People love drama. Like, there's no question about it. They love to see it, they love to consume it, they love to be a part of it, they love to hate it. It's a mental tick we have, it's a mental deficiency. We can't stop being intrigued by drama. And if you say you're immune to it, you're lying to yourself. You know, there was a moment when you were into the drama. You know, there will be a moment when something will come up, something that strikes a chord with you, and you will be helpless when it comes to giving it attention or interacting with it. Like, do you people even believe that Anita Sarkeesian would have any sort of voice in the gaming industry if people had not actively hated her? She wouldn't. She would have been a blip in the night. But because the public hated her, the public disliked her, the public enjoyed the drama, and the media latched onto that, it created a very successful phenomenon. And the media will latch onto anything. Again, back to Pokemon Go. It's the current big thing. It is immensely big. I write mainly for a site that would like to advertise itself as a tech site, but we've had more Pokemon Go news than CPU news in the past month. We've had more hits from the Pokemon news than from everything else, mostly because one, I have trouble with making tech news sound clickbaity. The people that came for the tech news didn't like the clickbaity, and those that were still around aren't coming back because of all the Pokemon. And when such a big event is happening, you can make sure that the media, like the same outlet, will give you an entire palette of content based on that thing. It'll have content for people that love it, for people that don't like it, for people that hate it, for people that are indifferent to it. You know, articles like, I'm indifferent to Pokemon Go, and people hate me for it. It's not actual journalism or writing anymore, it's marketing. The gaming media is currently marketing its own articles. How should I put this? It's not about writing articles anymore. It's not about writing pieces. It's not about doing interviews. It's not about even promoting games anymore. It's about finding the itch that people need to scratch and exploiting it with an article. It doesn't matter what the article is about as long as it scratches that itch. The outrage, the anger, the want, the sense of anticipation. Bill Hicks was a very good comedian who sadly passed away about 20 or something years ago. Had an entire bit about marketing. One that's still perfectly valid today. It's even more valid. I'm gonna try to put that bit here, but I'll remove it if we get a copyright strike, so you may not actually see it here. So if you don't see it, just search Bill Hicks marketing. It's gonna make you laugh and cry when you realize that's what everything is today. Even those review scores that I've told you repeatedly that they don't mean a thing can be weaponized for clickbaiting, for getting people to pay attention to the site, to visit it. Like the site Polygon, actually, I'm not sure if it still has this policy, but back in when it was founded they made a documentary about how they were the greatest team in the history of the gaming industry, and they gave SimCity a 10 out of 10 and then reduced it and so forth. But their scores weren't based on what the person that actually played the game was. It was decided by committee. Like Dave said, it was decided by committee, so you can imagine those scores weren't made for people to actually even have some sort of understanding about what the game offers in terms of quality. No, it was just to get people to click, to drive up that sense of that game should have gotten a high score, or that game should have gotten a lower score, or that game doesn't have the right score. You see the same thing currently with stuff like, well, Suicide Squad just came out, and people are insane about the scores. They actually want to shut down Rotten Tomatoes, which is an aggregator. It aggregates reviews because it doesn't have a very high score. That's insane. People have gone insane because of the scores, and the gaming media is to blame. They've driven up scores as being something important. They've created a monster that is Metacritic. Metacritic is, unlike Rotten Tomatoes, well, I hope Rotten Tomatoes hasn't become one, is a monster because people have not gotten salaries they deserved because they were 1 point off a general score that was already biased and weighted, so it wasn't even an average. And when they can't do reviews, maybe because the studio gets involved, or God forbid they actually hire a freelancer that knows how to write a review and knows the game they're talking about, they usually resort to writing articles that are about, hey, let's tear down a classic. And I mean really tear it down, like Baldur's Gate was a piece of crap, wasn't it? Planescape Torment, what's that? That doesn't speak to today's youth. You know, stupid articles like that. Or the lists. Now I'm a bit complicit of this because over the course of my career I've done at least 400 list videos. And no, that's not a joke. I'm not even sure that half of them are on the internet anymore because they were posted on proprietary sites that went bankrupt and on other video hosting sites that were less copyright insane than YouTube. But after all this time, I've tried at least to deviate from the norm. Like when I see the norm, I wave at it, tell it to look behind itself, and then run away and maybe throw rocks at it as I pass by. Now I will on occasion do a top 7 like, hey, this is the best city builder or this is the best tycoon. Now those lists are extremely subjective, but I do try to highlight what the best games in that genre are and what the one that accomplished the most could be. You won't see things like this is the best FPS because FPS is a camera position. It doesn't describe anything. A first person shooter, there's just too, I can't really do anything with that. It's too broad of a definition, and you certainly won't see me do things like the top 100 best games ever because that just makes no sense. Something like the top X number best games ever are just there again for the outrage, for people to comment endlessly, for people to share that list constantly because you just know they will put something in there that is just really. Mass Effect 2 is one of the top 10 best games ever made. The game that had one of the worst stories in the series with the least gameplay. Looking at you, PC gamer, right now, looking at you. Those lists exist solely to drive traffic based on outrage, and sometimes based on that sense of smugness that, oh yeah, I knew that game was gonna win, I knew that game was great, I knew that, see, that's why I played that game because it was great, stuff like that. That's what the current gaming media does. It feeds on you. It doesn't inform you. It doesn't try to enrich your culture. It just feeds on you, and it will do so in ever decreasing standards till it reaches a base, like top 10 tits. I know Raul did basically that. Raul doesn't have really standards, so him I understand, like he's not gaming media, he's YouTube personified. But you will see things that used to be reputable publications that go that route. And it's disconcerting because here's the idea. You may believe we have reached the bottom, but we haven't. I've seen what lies below the bottom. I've seen people make articles where they try to tear down someone else's article which they did not understand. I've seen people go on incredibly lengthy rants about stuff that isn't even actually real. And the scariest part is, this isn't just the gaming media. All the media, because it's dying out, because the internet is murdering it, is now in its final death throw and is taking everything with it. TV, newspapers, radio. The more dependent they are on aging consumers that don't use the internet, which still accounts for a lot of people in the world, the worse it will get until those people will not sustain them anymore, and they will either have to court the people that they have been bashing constantly, like, video games are evil, rock music is the devil's work, RPGs are Satan, stuff like that actually happened, or fade out, die completely. And before they die, they will go through even more horrendous death throes that will not just drive wedges in communities, in civilization, but will downright tear them apart. And it will happen in the games industry. It's happened already in the video games industry, and it will continue to happen. And people will love it because people love drama. They're attracted by it. It's something that we need to work hard on protecting ourselves against. And it's not easy. But if you try to make an effort, to not actually get involved in another internet fight, in another internet scandal that's virtually meaningless, that has no value, that has no relevance to your actual life or to anyone's, if you're able to avoid that trap, well, when the gaming media dies, it may not take us with it. because make no mistake, it will die. Currently, it's made up mostly of freelancers that jump from publication to publication trying to earn a modest living. The old farts have transitioned to something else because being old farts, they have families and need actual income and a job that doesn't make them want to claw their eyes out and stab themselves with a fork in the face. Which I'm not saying that my current job does, but I'm staying away from forks. And when those freelancers can't be paid anymore, even if some are downright horrible, like there was a guy called Eric Neer that wrote reviews for 1UP and GameSpot. He didn't play the games he reviewed. Like, honestly, he didn't play them. Like, if you read his reviews, you know he didn't play them. Like, Natural Selection 2, A Vampire Story, Gas Guzzlers. When publications can't pay those games, they'll switch to volunteer work. And volunteer work is even of a lower tier of quality, because they usually come from people who are in school, like high school, who will work for a free video game, and they'll try to do their best. Some of them may even do a good job. Those people will eventually want to get paid, and they can't because there's no income coming because, you know, the media is dying out. And they'll switch to YouTube. They'll do something that actually gives them a reward for their hard work, which the gaming media mostly won't do. Not when you turn random online petition into news, listen to every crazy person on the internet and call it something relevant for the public, or just flat out lie. And that's not even counting that some publications just exist to serve a certain agenda. Well, that would be it for the show. Now it's absolutely certain that they won't invite me to the next secret cabal of video gaming industry insiders, which there totally was one. Even though they kept denying it. Well, okay, granted, I was in one secret cabal, but it was a small one and it didn't last long. Anyone up for making another secret cabal of gaming media insiders, but this one with the aim of actually fixing things? No? No one? Someone? Well, it was worth a shot. If you enjoyed this show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Or, if you thought it was horrible, then share it with your enemies and make them suffer. We shall be your weapon of vengeance. But if you liked what you saw, you could, I don't know, maybe donate, because basically YouTube is horrible at revenue, by using the link in the description, or just buy my book. It's a fantasy book about, well, a lot of stuff. I guarantee it won't suck, and if it does suck, you can find me here and complain about it.